long time ago, Miss White, as the Cinderella, was asked to write 100 stories by her vicious stepmom and stepsisters. But since Miss White is very smart, she understood the incense and the stories very quickly. So she was able to write those stories only with some key words in one sentence. Story 1. The Alibaba and the 40 Thieves. The kind and brave people, like Alibaba, will eventually get rich and live happily. Story 2. The Snow White. The one who is able to marry the prince should be the true beauty. Story 3. Cinderella. Miss White! The work is so hard and heavy. Why can't readers love stories just in one essential sentence? Why people love stories? Hi, I'm Miss White. You may never think of how you perpetuate all kinds of stories through your whole life. When you are a child, you listen to sleeping stories. Teenager, watch animation or movies, scripted by stories. Grow up, gossip stories in neighborhood or workplace, or business stories to the clients. The end of your life, your whole life is only left as a story of you. See, as storytelling creatures, we are human beings are haunted with all kinds of stories all the time. Why the storytelling are so powerful in our communication? What are the typical powerful stories attract us most? And what's the ending of the Cinderella stories in Miss White version? Watch out this video, you will find surprise. In the book Storytelling Animal, How Stories Make Us Human, the psychologist and novelist Keynes Otley calls the story the flight simulators of human social life. Just as flight simulators allow pilots to train safely, stories safely train us for the big challenges in social world. Like a flight simulator, fiction projects us into intense simulations of problems that run parallel to those we face in reality. And like a flight simulator, the main virtue of fiction is that we have the rich experience, but we don't need to die in the end. We get to simulate what it would like to confront a dangerous man or seduce others to suppose. Also, evolutionary psychologists find that it's a variation on one of the traditional justifications for fiction. For example, the psychologist Janet Barrow argues that low-cost vicarious experience, especially emotional experience, is the primary benefit of fiction. Literature offers feelings of which we don't have to pay. It allows us to love, to condemn, to hope, dread, and hate without any risks those feelings ordinarily involve. See? This is why our human beings can easily imagine ourselves, can gain superpower through fictions and movies, at least from one moment from Kung Fu, Harry Potter, Sherlock Holmes, and so on. This storytelling of fiction have been proved by neuroscientists. When listening to the well-told stories, the exact same areas of a brain light up in the fMRI in both the storytellers and the listener. Your brain as a listener mirrors the brain of the storyteller. If you have ever watched my X video about the love, you must remember the very important biochemical oxytocin. Here, oxytocin is the feel-good hormone, boosting our feelings of things like trust, compassion, empathy. It motivates us to work with others and positively influence our social behavior. Because of this, a good storytelling has a unique ability to build connections. Compared to those characters who learn and practice their skills and power every day, for us, we just get them in few hours or a few days. Historically, we have been living this way for centuries in different ways. Our ancestors who lived before 5th centuries BC, before they underwent the alphabet writing culture, they have had lived in an oral culture with all kinds of stories. Among millions of all kinds of stories in various cultures for years, we seek stories because we do enjoy it. Fiction is an ancient virtual reality technology that specializes in stimulating human problems. Now, more often, the movies. Here are the 9 golden plots in stories for you. Take this silver bullet, shut your dream story down. 1. Meta plot. The meta plot begins with the anticipation stage, in which the hero is called the adventure to come. This is followed by a dream stage, in which the adventure begins, the hero has come some success, and has an illusion of invisibility, in which the hero is called the adventure to come. However, this is then followed by a frustration stage, in which the hero has his first confrontation with the enemy and the illusion of invisibility is lost. But no worries. Finally, in the resolution, the hero overcomes his burden against the odds. 2. Overcoming the monsters. The protagonist sets out to defeat an evil which threatens him or her or his or her homelands. The typical movies can be James Bond, Star Wars. 3. Rags to riches. The poor protagonist acquires power, wealth, or might, loses it all, and then gains all back, growing as a person as a result. For example, Cinderella, Jane Eyre, A Little Princess. 4. Quest. The protagonist and the companions set out to acquire a very important object or to get to a location. They face temptations and other subjects along their way. For example, the Odyssey, The Lord of the Kings. 5. Voyage and return. The protagonist goes to a strange land, and after overcoming the threats it poses or learning important lessons on that location, they return with such experience. For example, Alice in Wonderland, Gone with the Wind, The Lone King. 6. Comedy. Light and humorous character with a happy and cheerful ending, such as The Midsummer Night's Dream. 7. Tragedy. The protagonist is with a major tragedy. The protagonist is a hero with a major character flaw or great mistakes, which is ultimately their undoings. They are fortunate and evokes pity at their folly and a fall of a fundamental good character, such as Julius Caesar and Carmen. 8. Rebirth. An event forces the main character to change their way and often become a better individual, such as Pride and Prejudice, Beauty and the Beast, The Snow Queen. 9. The Rule of 3. Again and again, scenes appear in threes. There is a rising tension and a certain event to become the final trigger for something important to happen. In fairy tale stories, we can see Cinderella, Little Red Riding Hood. In adult stories, Ray can comment the gradual working out of a process that leads to transformation. This transformation can be downwards as well as upwards. Can you guess what's the ending of Miss White's version's Cinderella? After human beings' communication mechanism successfully evolve into a new level, the 100 precise and immediate current of consciousness between each other. Finally, Miss White finds her Mr. Right, the alien on Mars. And they live happily together forever.